A handshake and hug of peaceful coexistence between the farmers and cattle herders in Benue State birthed the hope of a new beginning. But that hope has now been shattered as the fears of the consequences of conflict between both parties is back.
You have no right to say, let him come here, and let every other person come here. He will see what will do to such a one. The law will take its course. You either go to prison or you will pay fine.
This is the story of the anti-open grazing law in Benue State. Would the federal government's National Livestock Transformation Plan douse the tension between these two parties, not just in Benue State but around the country? Certainly, many Nigerians would benefit from a cordial relationship between the farmers and herders. It's a discussion that started long before now, but is still on in Nigeria. Welcome to Big Story on Channels Television. I'm Ini John Mekwa. Benue State, in the north-central region of the country, is particularly strict on the protection of its farmland because, as the food basket of the state, it boasts of the longest stretch of river systems in the country with great potential for viable fishing industry, dry season farming through irrigation, and for an inland water highway. This has also attracted the cattle breeders. Since year 2000, the interdependence has increasingly deteriorated due to changing demography, climate variability, shrinking natural resources, and socio-political manipulation. As a result, violent confrontations have become a major defining feature of their interactions. It was the 27th of October 2019, an unusual scene going by the relationship between the cattle breeders and farmers and the huge number of lives lost allegedly connected to the conflict between both groups, especially in Benue State. The hug and handshake was supposed to indicate the end of the conflict and beginning of a new relationship. The rift started when the state government, led by Samuel Otom, enacted the Benue State Open Grazing Prohibition and Ranches Establishment Law, and even went to the extent of creating a livestock guard outfit to implement the law. The outfit impounded several farm animals with the option of paying fines to claim it or it to be auctioned. Did not go down well with the herdsmen, and this has caused dispute, which many believe is what has led to several attacks in rural and remote parts of the state. So much so that the governor, Samuel Otom, reports that more than 1,878 people were killed between 2014 and 2016.
Having received training on non-violence, courtesy of Barrister Allen Ayama, the chairman of this occasion in US, Atlanta, Georgia, I started working for peace. So when he called me, without even thinking twice, I said, even if I would not go back from Benue, I will come to Benue to prove to him that I have imbibed the non-violent training which I received. And so I'm here to support the governor's initiative and all initiatives that will bring sustainable peace between farmers and herders, and also to help people understand some of the narratives that have given the wrong misconception about the conflict, which I believe if we work together, we'll be able to isolate the criminal elements and deal with them, and then address the issues that have to do with land resource conflict, which is the driver of this conflict, but that have been hijacked by criminal elements. I want to salute the doggedness of the governor. He is a dogged fighter, and I believe he is our father. When we were invited by the state security, we were detained. He petitioned us, and there the former DGSS directed me to go and apologize to His Excellency and work with him because you control people. He is controlling a territory of Nigeria. He must be respected. Your Excellency, we are sorry if we offended you.
Whatever misconceptions we had, I think moving forward we can forget about the past and move forward. Benue State believes in the rule of law. We believe that we are practicing democracy, and democracy is anchored by the rule of law.
Yes, sir.
What we did here was not against any ethnic group. We are not against Fulani men in Benue State. What we did is an invitation for peace, love, and living together. We want to invite Saleh to join us in this vanguard. I believe that moving forward, we will still meet and discuss. Fulanis, Hausa, Yoruba, Igbos, and any other person, provided you obey the laws of the land, you are free to live in Benue State and do your business. For us here, what we have in place is law on ranching, which is the global best practice for animal husbandry. And there is no land for open grazing because the population have overgrown the land that we occupy. And so we believe that this will restore peace. Fulani, Igbo, Hausa, anyone who wants to do cattle business have the right to obtain land in Benue State and ranch.
But this cordiality is short-lived because by the 6th of November, less than a month later, the governor asked that the president of the Miyetti Allah Kota Hore be arrested. His reason is the allegation that he's threatening states like Benue for rejecting the establishment of the rural grazing area, Ruga.
Let the press and any other person who cares to listen tell Podejo that open grazing is prohibited in Benue State. And nobody is above the laws of the land. What we have to do is our legitimate right to make laws for the good governance of our state, provided it's not in conflict with the laws of the federal government. And that is what we have done. So Podejo have no right to say, let him come here. And let every other person come here, he will see what we'll do to such a one. The law will take its course. You either go to prison or you will pay fine for committing offense over Benue people.
Benue State signed the anti-open grazing law in 2017 and implementation began in January 2018. The law prohibits open rearing and grazing of livestock and calls for the establishment of ranches and livestock administration, regulation and control.
Subsection 4 also forbids movement on foot with livestock, this cattle in the state. And so by subsection 1 of the same section 19 gives a penalty of 5 years for offenders, or 1 million, you pay a fine of 1 million naira, or with both. And then for persons who are engaged in movement with this cattle on foot within the state, if you are a first offender, if you are convicted, you pay 500,000 naira or 1 year term of imprisonment. And if you are a second offender, you are to pay 1 million naira or 3 years, or with both. And if your livestock is impounded by the state, the law provides that it can stay there for 7 days. And after that 7 days, if you did not come forward to claim it, it will now be auctioned by the Department of Livestock, Ministry of Agriculture, and then the money paid to government coffers. Whatever form of livestock that you want to engage in, you apply to the Ministry of Agriculture, and then you are given a lease of this land, and then you go and ranch, and then you renew this lease every year. We have to do this because here our main stay is agriculture, is farm crops, and so we really need to maintain the status of the food basket of the nation. The basket has to be full, and so people need to go back to their farms. And so because of this law, offenders are always arrested and prosecuted. And if you are in the state and you are not in conformity with the policy of ranching your animal, it means you go and do your business elsewhere, because here there's no land for open grazing.
As of August 2019, the state government recorded no fewer than 81 herdsmen convicted and 3,000 cows arrested. Some have paid fines, others are still in prison. The fine is 2,000 naira for a cow for every day it is kept. This information either seems to be trickling down to the concerned parties at a low rate, or there's a disconnection somewhere, as cattle are still seen grazing in the open.
Don saniya ba za a keɓe mashi saniya 100 ka sha ka mashi abinci in ba gwamnati ya sa hannu ba, mu kawai ba za mu iya ba. Gwamnati ya sa hannu, wannan aikinsa ne, za mu bi shi, amma mu kawai ashe mu tsare ba za mu iya ba. Shawara na kenan.
Anti-open grazing law and ranching establishment 2017 has become effective since November 2018. I remember year 2017, and we are making a lot of effort to carry out a sensitization across the state, particularly to the herders, for them to understand the dividends and the attention of the state government. But still, up to now, due to, let me say, geographical locations and ethnicity, in fact, background, let me say, educational background, most of the herders are completely ignorant of ranching. And the technicality, methodology, financial, you understand, information, when I say techniques, cover all the information to be able to establish ranching. When we say ranching, it's not just on paper or saying ranching. Ranching is very complicated issues. I think in all African countries, I have been opportune to visit some West African countries where ranching has been adopted. Nigeria, because of the negligence on cattle rearing, since the independence of this country, the sectors of agricultural sector of herding has become completely neglected. The herders, almost 90% of them are not educated. So when you are talking of ranching, to pass a critical, inclusive, for them to understand what is ranching, in fact, is difficult. And that is what we are suffering in this state right now. Every month, cattle is being impounded because they say herders are, in fact, we are guilty always, all the time, against the law. It's not what we wish. But we are still praying that the introduction of this livestock transformation program by federal government maybe can assist for us to, I don't know, I have the document with me, and I believe economically it's going to help us a lot. You understand? And even with the consideration of this anti-open grazing and ranching establishment of the state, we are still pleading with the state government to establish ranches and also give us at least inclusive. When I say inclusive, we need to, because me personally, I graduated for Uni Agri, Animal Science, but if you give me 200 million now, go and establish ranching, I won't know where to start. I need a technical measure, you understand, to educate me. How do I go about it? You understand? Because it involves scientific and technological aspect and financial. So I think all those aspects needed to be inclusive so that at the end of the day, we'll achieve the desired goal that is we know that the government are aiming positive progress in our nation. You understand? Particularly the Benue State government. That is why earlier, we don't, in fact, come out to say we can fight against, no, but we are talking about sensitization. Carry people along to understand it.
This perspective indicates that there might be a gap in communication in some quarters, but the challenge of getting the information to individuals who are mostly nomadic is also glaring. In September 2019, the Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, inaugurated a National Livestock Transformation Plan designed to run from 2019 to 2028 as part of the federal government's initiative in collaboration with states to support the development of Nigeria's livestock sector, with a proposal that it would be implemented in 7 pilot states of Adamawa, Benue, Kaduna, Plateau, Nasarawa, Taraba, and Zamfara states. There are some interesting features in the plan, such as it will be implemented as a collaboration project between the federal and state governments, farmers, pastoral, and private investors. Any participating state will provide the land and its own contribution to the project. the federal government merely supports. Participating states will determine its own model. The plan has the objectives of birthing tailor-made ranches where cattle are bred, as well as solving the problem of cattle grazing into and destroying farmlands and ensuring a practical response to the pressures on water and pasture by forces of climate change. The Ministry of Agriculture has been selling this idea to various state governments for their buy into the plan, which the federal government believes would boost both livestock and farming.
There is a vast or huge investment coming into this country in agriculture, and it affects most of the states or all of the states in the northern part of the country. These investments are going to be huge, and I want the state government to facilitate these investments that are coming into Nigeria. I will talk to all the governors in the federation on this matter, because it's not a small matter, it is a very serious matter. And you find a way how to key into this new development and how your people are going to benefit. I would suggest that we need to have an organized farming communities around clusters, as well as strengthening the Farmers Association, because these are the people that link directly with every farmer in the rural areas. And this is what these investments are for.
The message of the federal government is already generating interest in various states, as implementation plans have been initiated with committees formed to make the plan distinctive to the benefits of the people. In Gombe State, which is not stated as one of the pilot states, the herders have asked for the implementation and the governors responded.
The successful implementation of the plan will ensure sufficient wealth creation by improving productivity, ensure safety and security, and will guarantee peaceful coexistence between pastoralists and arable crop farmers. We are appealing to His Excellency the Executive Governor of Gombe State to partner with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture in order to revive the existing grazing reserves and stock routes in Gombe State, gazette them, develop all necessary facilities in them to ensure that the pastoralists are composed, like outdowns, boreholes, wells, water reservoirs, pasture and fodder banks, social facilities like markets, educational and health facilities, mobile and other contents.
Gombe State has 23 grazing reserves, totaling about 238,000 hectares. The Zenjiawa alone is the biggest grazing reserve in Africa. And as far back as 1988, President Babangida was there to kickstart the nomadic education project at that place. And equally what followed was some developments by the federal government pertaining to some earth dams and little livestock health facilities that were supposed to improve on the lots of the people. But eventually, as usual, nothing was done to harness all those, and nothing was done to make sure that we upscale to do what would have been the best for us. But with the initiative of the federal government, especially now, and I believe with the concern you have for bringing development to the people, we shall make sure that we give you all that you need so that Gombe is among those that go by whatever name you call it.
And in Adamawa State, where the inauguration was done, the points of the plan have been dissected to accommodate the needs of the people.
The federal government has provided every state the opportunity to reprioritize those pillars according to its own peculiarities. And here in Adamawa, we have done our prioritization. Pillar on humanitarian relief and early recovery is our top priority pillar in Adamawa State. That's the pillar that has the issue of rehabilitation, compensation of the victims, because Adamawa State is a victim state. And then it also has issues relating to protection of both the herdsmen and the farmers. So that is priority number one. And I think it makes sense. It makes sense in that there are victims, of the crisis, to gain their confidence and to see that government is truly committed. I think that will be a good place to start. And that is why that is the top priority for Adamawa State.
We should, put a mechanism whereby we will bring the people at the grassroots, the farmers, and then also bring the herders together to sit down. Tell the herders, this is the importance of this program. Tell the farmers, this is the importance of this program. If you are able to do that, I think to a very much extent, we will move this program forward, and then the awareness will be created in the rural man who is skeptical about this program. Before today, I am among those who, has my own, reservations about this program.
The National Economic Council has proposed a budget of 100 billion naira for the implementation of the National Livestock Transformation Plan. The chairman of the Subcommittee on Farmer Herders Crisis, who is also the governor of Ebonyi State, Dave Umahi, says that the federal government would bear 80% of the amount, while participating states will support with 20 billion naira and provision of lands for the program. Meanwhile, the farmers are asking not to be left out of the plan.
I'm a farmer. I come from a Handshake village, which is situated at the boundary between Benue and Nasarawa State. We are the worst affected in terms of this crisis. For the past 2 years, as you are aware, we have been displaced from our village. Our people are living in the local government headquarters in Bajumba. And it was the peace efforts made by the governor of Benue State, Samuel Otom, that have made our people that have started returning back to our village. Any fund that is coming from the federal government should be geared towards establishment of ranches where whoever, not only the herdsmen, that want to do animal husbandry should be supported to do this. It's not only about the cows. It should be about other goats or sheep or even the pigs, where the government will support people to put their animals in one place and rear them and get fish to come and feed them there. And then for us in Benue State, the greatest challenge is that some of our people are still in IDP camps. And then that apart, those people that are going back to their villages, like I told you about my village, there's total destruction. All our houses were destroyed, all the economic trees were destroyed, and all the schools were destroyed with our churches and places of business. So apart from this, the government should support the people to go and start a living. It is not just about peace, but how do we start? Out with all the destruction, and government will have to give us seeds. We'll have to support the farmers in providing inputs for them to return back to their houses.
More states have promised to embrace the National Livestock Transformation Plan. But do you think this will solve the challenge between the farmers and herders? Or is there a component which could make the plan a sure success? Please talk to us on our social media platforms. Thank you for watching. I'm Ini John Mekwa.